Okay, so today I am going to be going more in depth with the placement of eyeshadow and how it changes the shape of your eye. I did a very fundamental version of this video and a lot of you guys were really interested in it and wanted to see more in depth, so that's what we're doing today. Zoom you fuckers in. Okay, so I already have my base on, or my eyeshadow base on, and I've been using the Urban Decay one, and I really like it. Just saying. I just stabbed myself in the face, and it just pulled off some of my foundation. That was really cool. All right, today I'm using the Lorac Pro Soleil palette, just because it's pretty. Got it in PR. Isn't that pretty, neutrals? Shimmers and shit. We're basically just gonna be using the mattes, but I just want to show you like placement, you know? So I'm going to be starting off with a transition shade. I think I'm going to jump right into this guy right here. And to begin, I'm using the e.l.f. crease brush. Okay, my cat literally just body slammed the door. So for my eyes, like they tend to look a little bit more round because my like crease in my eyes comes down, you know? So it kind of can create this like this shape. It's sort of like an arch. And it actually, especially on this eye, it comes in a little bit more. So that can kind of like emphasize a downward turn to my eyes. If you look at my eyes straight on, the end of my eye actually does come up a little bit more than the inner corner. So it does have a little bit of a tilt, and that's what I like to accentuate. I like to create more of a lift to my eye. And the way that I do that is by pushing this part of my brow bone back in space. Now, if I feel this, which is like really actually very interesting, like if I turn, you can see the highest point of my brow bone is like up here. One of the ways that I like to lift my eye is by placing my crease shade a little bit higher. And obviously like I have a lot of real estate going on up here and I have a lot of room over here. So if this whole area right here is light in shade and the rest of it is dark, it brings this forward and it kind of like drags my eyelid down a little bit. It kind of makes like the top of my eye look heavy, if that makes sense. So what I like to do is using my I start off with my transition shade in this area because this is the area that I want to push back more. So I like to start off by contouring that first. So that's like my first move is basically like I like to create more of a cat eye shape. So I want to push this back and I'm going to be kind of keeping everything in like this sort of a shape. And then I'm going to be stopping it about halfway. And then slowly blending that out, keeping with that kind of like swooping shape. So you can see that it's kind of like this, right? So now using that same brush, I'm gonna pick up that same shade. And on this side, I'm going to kind of like follow my natural crease. So looking down into a mirror, if I push in here, I can feel like where my crease is. So I'm going to, I'm just kind of like follow that. Like if I push in right here, I can feel kind of like it goes around the bone. So I'm going to start here and then I'm going to bring it up and then I'm going to bring it in. Basically just like if I take my brush and I like push in, going around my eyeball. So if you have very hooded lids or if you've saggy lids and you don't have like a very distinct shape there, just kind of like use your brush and push it around your eyeball. It looks really weird, but that's how you can kind of like cheat that shape. But you can see like when I get to the end of my eye, I'm just kind of bringing this down. So again, I'm just following that shape. I'm not going to be bringing it out at all. All right, so we already have like a pretty vast difference there. So now what I'm going to do is pick up a slightly darker shade, and I think I'm going to use this kind of like burnt orangey shade right here. I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush. So I'm going to be using the Detail Blending brush. This is the E27 from Sigma. So it's kind of like it gets a little bit flatter, and then when you turn it, it gets a little thinner. And I'm going to start building up the outer corner here. So I'm building it up on the outer corner of the eye, and then I'm going to slowly bring it into the crease. But you can see I'm focusing, dude, these shadows are so stunning, by the way, blending beautifully. You can see that like all of my focus is on the end of the eye. I'm keeping this whole area very light. And then I'm going to Just kind of diffuse that to the skin. So kind of following the end of my eye and the end of my brow, like see how they kind of come together to create that shape? That's kind of like what I'm using as my guide. Okay, now using the Wayne Goss number 19 brush, this is just like a kind of a detail blending brush. I'm gonna pick up that same color. And again, looking down into my mirror, I'm going to kind of intensify this effect. So I'm really just kind of building up dimension in both areas of my eye. So this is really going to accentuate, it's gonna make my lid pop because my lid is so much lighter. We're following the natural shape of my crease. All right, and then using an even smaller brush, this is the Precision Firm Blender brush, again by Sigma, E42. I'm gonna pick up the dark brown in this palette, this guy right here. On this side, I'm going to deepen up that lash line even more, creating kind of a flick, kind of like a kitten flick. That, and then I'm gonna drag it along my lash line, but I'm only gonna take it like halfway. Not even halfway. I'm kind of just like connecting. I'm sort of creating a wing, but not really. Just want to deepen up this area, which is going to kind of like mimic what lashes might look like and really accentuate that cat eye. I'm going to be using that to finish off this end. So sort of connecting this to my lower lash line and just deepen up this area. Slowly build it into the other area, bringing it all the way into the inner corner. So on this eye, we're kind of just placing shadows in the same place, slowly building up that definition and dimension. All right, for the lid, I am just going to be picking up this light shade right here. It looks white on camera, it's a little bit more of a cream. And I'm gonna be applying that with the e.l.f. Retro Paradise blending eye brush. And I'm going to pack this all over the lid. And on this side, I'm bringing it all the way into the inner corner. So basically just everywhere that we don't have shadow already. And just kind of using it to like define that lid. Slowly kind of blending into these other shades, just like lightly diffusing it. And then on the left eye, I'm gonna be doing that, but right in the center. Again, just kind of like filling in the areas that don't have shadow. So putting the emphasis on the whole lid, and the majority of the pigment is going to be right in the center of the lid. And again, when I get to the other shadows, I'm just gonna kind of like pat and diffuse. Now for the lower lash line, I'm actually going to start off on the left eye. I'm going to be using this brush by the Makeup Institute. It's just kind of like a little shader brush. I don't know what you would call this. And I'm going to start off with our first shade that we went in with. And I'm going to just kind of run this all along my under eye bag. So just following this entire shape. I like to push this area back in space, if you've seen my other eyeshadow videos. And then as I get to the end of the eye, I'm going to keep it a little bit tighter, connecting it to the upper part of the eye. So kind of accentuating that like round shape. And then I'm just going to lightly blend that shadow out. So the lowest point that I'm bringing the shadow is right here in the center of the eye. And then as I get to either corner, I'm bringing it in a little bit tighter. For my other eye, do you see how much of a difference that already makes? It's so crazy. For my other eye, I'm gonna use the same brush, I guess. I was gonna switch brushes, but never mind. Pick up that same shade and I'm going to do that, but only on the outer part. So the majority of the eyeshadow is going on the very outer part of my lower lash line. And you're gonna see it's gonna look a little bit thicker. I'm gonna connect it up to that kind of like wing that we created. And then I'm gonna slowly diffuse it into the center of the lid. Lid, lower lash line. But I'm leaving the inner part open. And then using an even smaller brush, again by the Makeup Institute, I don't know how you would describe this little guy, but he's cute. I'm going to pick up that medium like brick color, and I guess I'll start over here. I'm going to start to build that up again on the outer part, bring it in halfway, but we're keeping it a little bit tighter to the lash line. So again, just kind of like creating dimension, lightly blending up into the upper part. And then on this on this side, I'm going to do kind of the same thing. I'm going to focus it on the outer corner, keeping it nice and tight, and then bring this into the inner corner as well. Then sort of meeting in the middle. So kind of just like blending it a little closer to the lash line. And then I'm going to use the same brush, but I'm going to pick up that dark brown. I'm going to focus it on like the very tip of the brush. I'm going to really darken up the very outer corner of this side, keeping it really close to the lash line, and I'm only going to take it to about there. So kind of just creating like that triangle right there. And then for this eye, I'm going to do, going to place it really close to the lash line, but I'm going to go all the way in to the inner corner. All right, and then to finish off this eye, I'm going to use the number 70 brush from KVD Beauty, which is just basically like an angled brush. I think it's supposed to be for brows or liner or whatever. I'm going to pick up that dark brown on like the very tip, and I'm going to place this right on the bottom part of my eye. So like right in here in the inner corner. Keep it nice and sharp. So kind of just like extending that lower lash, holy shit, what the fuck is it called? Inner corner. And then just going to do that like a little triangle. I don't really know how to describe it. You can see how drastic these differences make your eyes look. If you just look at this side, it looks kind of like a little more lifted. It's still smoky. It still sort of looks like my round shape, but we're really accentuating the outer part and then closing this inner corner, like bringing it in just a little bit, really just like, I look like a bird. Like I look like a little exotic parrot or something. And then if we look at this side, it's a little more like smoky. It's slightly more round. And then when you compare them, you can see like what a difference it makes. All right, guys, as always, keep in mind the areas that you want to push back in space. It's where you put the dark areas. The areas you want to bring forward in space are the light areas. If you have incredibly deep set like eyelids, you have like a really, really defined brow bone area or lid, you don't need to do this. However, if you are like me and you have like more of a fold, I guess, like more of a crease over, you might want to like deepen up this area even more, because you can see that this like really pushes back my eye socket. Whereas on this side, even though we have like, I do prefer this kind of a look. I like this kind of like, whatever you want to call that. But you can see that like this area, because it's lighter than down here, it actually makes it come forward a little bit more. Whereas over here, because this area is darker, it looks like it's going back further in space. This is my explanation. I hope it helps you. If you have other very specific shapes that you want to compare, please let me know and I will do it. Yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Let me zoom you out a little bit. Oh, I forget like which one's the zoom. Isn't that pretty crazy? Right? All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hope it was helpful, and maybe I'll see you in the next one. Who knows? Hopefully.